Hey, it's me again. Thought I'd make a quick video. I'm extremely tired, so if I zone out every once in a while, you'll know why. But I just saw this whole thing about Anita Sarkeesian being welcomed in as, I guess, a consultant for Mirror's Edge 2, which is a game I've been looking forward to playing for quite some time. Um, the I don't understand why she's been brought onto the project. I can understand they want someone from the perspective that she has as a feminist to have influence on development of a game. But I find it strange that they would use Mirror's Edge, which is already a game focused on women. I mean, the first game, you're trying to save your sister. All the protagonists, most of the protagonists are female, and the whole game revolves around a female protagonist, which is incredible. It's one of the best games I've ever played, and it's because of that I'm so excited for the next one. I really, really love Mirror's Edge, and I've beaten it so many times. The game is so good. But then I saw that she's been brought on to be a consultant for the game, and that bothers me, because she's what people call a feminazi, and I agree and disagree. I'll go into more detail in some other video, but I wouldn't call her feminazi so much as I would, I'll just say she's aggressive. But that doesn't mean, she's got a point about men being oversaturated in games, and it's true. There are more men in games, more male protagonists than there are female. And I agree that there needs to be a change to that. I mean, it's like that in every kind of media. I mean, if you watch movies, for example, there are very few female superheroes, and that needs to change. And it has. I mean, they've turned Thor into a woman, which at first I was against because I've always cherished Thor as the character that I knew. But my thinking on it changed as, I got more adjusted to the idea of Thor being female, and I'm actually okay with it. Wonder Woman, it's like Wonder Woman, Catwoman, it's hard to even think of all of them. I mean, there are, on the X-Men, there's Storm, Jubilee, and all that stuff, but I'm talking lead characters, and there aren't a whole lot of them that are actually lead characters. So it is good that you have Mirror's Edge, where you have the main character, the main playable character is female. But you have a lot of games like the customizable ones like Mass Effect and Dragon Age and Skyrim. You can be female or you can be male, and they make these options available. So it's not like it's a new concept to have women in games. So what I want to move on to is the idea that women have to control an aspect of a game in order to have equality. The problem is games aren't designed solely by men. If you watch the credits of any video game, just sit down and watch, you will see a lot of women's names in there. Women have been involved in the development of games. I mean, my favorite game, which is BioShock Infinite, is filled with women. In fact, the strongest character is not even the playable character. Elizabeth, the primary female character in the game, is the focus of the entire experience. And she drove the game. I mean, that's the main reason you play that game. Without Elizabeth, it's just not a game. It's just boring. It's just shoot people, and it's like any other shooter. But she added this beautiful dynamic of not so much a damsel in distress. At first she is. You rescue her from her little tower, just like, Rapunzel. But then she becomes more powerful, and in fact she becomes so powerful it's frightening. And you have this deep respect for her because she's this incredibly powerful person. And it wasn't about her looks. Sure, she was gorgeous, but it was all about her complexity, her depth, her innocence, and everything that was taken from her that made me want to play the game. That was the primary reason that I played it, because her story it moved me emotionally. It really did. That game was powerful. So I love female characters in games, but I disagree with Anita Sarkeesian being a consultant on Mirror's Edge. And you may say, why? I thought you liked women and all that stuff. Well, I do. But she is a commentator. She's expressing opinions about what games are supposed to be like, right? The way she'd prefer to see them being played. And she did something counterproductive to her cause. She wants them to develop a controller scheme specifically for women so it's easier for them to play the game. How is that not sexist? Feminism pushes towards women being treated the same as men. So she wants a special controller scheme for women specifically. To me, that seems a little weird. Because if you are advocating the position of women are equal to men, which they are, why do you need a separate controller scheme? That doesn't make any sense. Why can't women use the same controller scheme? I have a lot of wonderful, wonderful, beautiful friends that most of my friends are women. And a lot of them, in fact, I don't know any of them that support her. All of them understand the controller schemes. What's the difference? Women are just as intelligent, if not more intelligent than men. Why wouldn't they be able to understand these controller schemes? So it doesn't make sense to me why she would advocate something like that. It's counterproductive to her cause. To me, it's very strange. And these games, video games, are not advocating a position, all right? She made points that were, good points. Like, there are a lot of games that make women look weak, like they always have to be rescued. But most of them aren't that way, and women are objectified in games, I will admit. They dress in skimpy outfits just for the attention of the men. But I have a counterpoint to make. So are the men. The men are built up really big muscles and everything. And I know a lot of women, real women, I'm not making this up, real women who will see a character in a video game and will say, man, he is hot, right? And they made him visually appealing so that they could catch the eye of the gamer. That's part of games. It's artwork, and you're trying to make things look as beautiful and as creative as you can. As an artist myself, I understand that aspect of, well, you're creating something yourself. Why not make it as beautiful as you want it to be? And I think women are beautiful no matter what. If they're not wearing makeup, or if they are wearing makeup, if they're 115 pounds or 280 pounds, women are beautiful. And I don't understand why there's this thing about objectifying so much, especially with games that they don't really objectify. Especially Mirror's Edge, she wears cargo pants and a tank top. And there's no sexual reference to it. There's nothing sexual about it at all. So at least she picked a good game to be a consultant on. But I think it'd be more productive for her to be a consultant on other games where they actually show these characters being dressed skimpy and actually being an object for men. And I don't like that kind of thing. Duke Nukem, the series of Duke Nukem is a man's game, right? It's geared towards men. And you can tell it's got strippers in it. They show, breasts, naked women. It's part of the game. It's part of the experience. But one thing she has to understand is there are diverse games out there. I mean, there are games that are targeting women. There are games that are targeting men. There are games that are targeting general audiences, targeting kids or elder. There's even games targeting elderly people. There are games for everyone. Not all games have to be the same, and not all games have to be politically correct. Sometimes political incorrectness is okay. I mean, anytime you watch a Tarantino movie, it's racist. A lot of the stuff in there is racist. I mean, watch any one of them. You're going to see something that is disturbing in some way, shape, or form, and that's on purpose. They did that for a reason. So I just, they can hire her if they want to, but I think her involvement is getting out of control because she's not a developer. She's not a game developer. There's no reason at all why she should be in control of the game, but maybe her consulting won't actually be that much control. I don't know. We'll just have to see how it pans out. But one thing she has to remember is there are millions of games out there. And just because you can have violence towards women in a game doesn't mean anything because you can have violence towards a man in the same game. I mean, there are so many games where you go around rampaging, like GTA, for example. You can kill anyone. You can kill a man or a woman. It doesn't matter. It's not like men are going to focus on either gender. I've never focused on either gender in a game, and it's never really come to my the front of my mind being like, oh, there's more men in this game, or oh, there's more women. It's just not one of those really important things. So, my objecting to this decision is solely based on the fact that she doesn't really need to have an input in this game. If there are feminists out there in the feminist culture who want to say something, it's not like there's one person developing the game. It's oftentimes more people develop a video game than people who develop movies. Just watch the credits of a video game. They're as long as, if not longer than, the credits of a movie or a TV show. So there is so much diversity in games already. And I think that she has an incorrect view of how things actually are, because she sees what she wants to see. And I can say that because if you're looking for something, you're sure to find it. So if I'm looking for something like, say I was going to make a statement against guns, for example, and a lot of people do have statements to make about guns, but you have a ton of games with guns in them, I could just go around saying they're trying to create a culture of gun violence so that more shootings will happen. Doesn't make it true, but I can focus on anything I want in a video game and make it sound like that's the main thing that should be focused on. Now, women's rights are incredibly important, and I think that misogyny needs to stop. There is a lot of it. I agree. I agree that there is, this culture around men like they're better than women. And I get mad at a lot of men because they'll say something to a woman like, oh, like my coworker told this girl as she was quitting, it was good that she was quitting because she needed a job that was more suited to women, which is unacceptable to me. But not all men are like that, and games, even if you're saving a damsel in distress, it's not all games that do that. It's that specific game that happens to be the story of that game. So I feel like she's pushing for, you're not allowed to tell a story where a man helps a woman. The woman has to help herself. But if all games are that way, isn't that a little dull? I mean, you go to the movies to see the same movie all the time, over and over. It's got the same plot, the same mechanics of characters. They're thinking outside the box now. And in the early days, it was more men that played games than women. You had the arcades and all that stuff, and it was attractive to men, mainly. But as time has gone on, the gamer base has become larger and larger. And because I have mostly female friends, I guess my view is skewed a little more, because most of them are gamers, and they're wonderful, wonderful people. And a lot of these female friends disagree with Anita Sarkeesian's involvement in game development. So I think that she has a good heart, and she's speaking from a place that something's happened to her, and that's good that she is able to do that, and that she has an avenue to express herself. And it's good that EA, I suppose, that she is involved with them, because then that tells her that somebody is listening, somebody is paying attention to what she has to say, even if what she has to say is a little overblown. Violence against women has decreased immensely. I've seen the videos of the catcalling and everything, which is unacceptable, and I would punch any of those guys in the face for doing it. But you have to admit, looking through history, there have been good, positive changes. But that's the thing about time, is it takes time for those changes to be implemented. You're not going to have immediate change. I wish it would happen that fast. Martin Luther King Jr. wanted change, and he preached about it and preached about it and preached about it. And to this day, I think that he would be disappointed in the small amount of change that has happened for racial equality. It's a slow, slow process, but we've come all the way from a period of men are responsible for everything and the woman has to stay home, to both parents working at the same time, making decisions together, having separate accounts and managing the accounts for the good of their families. And women play, I think, a more important role than men in family, because not only are they a care provider for their children and their husbands, but they also support financially. So the way I look at it, actually, is women having the role of being a housewife, or if they're a working woman, they support more than men do, because they have a stronger connection to the people they love. And I'm speaking biologically. I'm a biologist, so my perspective is a little different from what, the average Joe might think. But women are stronger in the family than men. And this whole damsel in distress thing is actually something that all men, including myself, have, which is to protect the caregiver. And women are the caregiver in nature. I mean, speaking even from an evolutionary standpoint, women are stronger than men. I'm not meaning physical prowess, because it is known that men have larger muscles and more strength, but that doesn't make them better than women. That just makes them different. But to me, after living with my mother, her taking care of me, raising me and educating me, she's the strongest woman in the world. And I have more respect for her than I have for anyone. All of the girls I've dated in my life, I've dated them not because they were beautiful, but because they had this strength that a lot of times I needed for me. And they built me up, and they helped me, and they changed me, and it changed who I am as a person. So I hope that other men share how I feel about women. And I wish that they did. And if they don't, I encourage them to try to change that. But, yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. But getting back to the main point, her being involved in the development of this game seems unnecessary. She's got her message, and she's been putting it out there, and everybody's heard about it. She's a buzzword. I mean, you can't go far without hearing about her. Even people who don't play games have talked about her. At my job, I hear people talk about her all the time. That's great. She's made an impact, and her message is getting across. But it doesn't mean she has to be involved in the development of games, because she's one person, and a lot of her opinions may only reflect her and what she's saying. There are feminists out there who disagree with her. So I feel like, especially with this whole controller scheme thing, where she wants to make the controls only, a select set of controls for women, is speaking from her experience, because she's not actually a gamer. Any gamer who actually is a gamer will know that she isn't. She maybe plays some games, but that doesn't make her a gamer. A gamer is somebody who, like me, who I play games as a pastime. I write music and I draw, and that's my major pastime, but I do spend hours of gaming. I mean, I just played rounds of Battlefield 4 with my brother. And that's kind of a male-centric game. But there are female-centric games. There are games that, like, for example, even Mortal Kombat, the most recent one and the old ones, female characters, male characters, and the female characters are often just as strong, if not more strong, than the male characters. So there isn't really that much of a rift between men and women in games. It's not like we live in the early days of America where women were kind of segregated. So, and as far as sex objects go, a lot of times I think that women believe they put on makeup to please men, and that's partly true. So a woman, she'll feel pressured to wear makeup and a revealing top to go out for a night in the town. I get that. But I do that too. Not women's clothes, but when I'm going out on the town, I shave my head, alright? I pluck my eyebrows, and then I go out and I have fun. I make myself look good, presentable for the opposite sex, because I'm interested in women. And women do that too, because they want to look as attractive as they can. And the way I can tell you this is because a lot of my friends are cosplayers and gamers and all this stuff. And one time, this was recent at NDK in Denver, Nandesukan, it's an anime convention. I went to it, and my friend, she actually put me up in makeup and everything, because I was doing a young character that has feminine features. And I got all in makeup and a long wig and everything, and eyeliner, and it was cool. And looking in the mirror, I looked so different, and it was fun to see how the change had happened. But when I looked at myself in the mirror, it was kind of this weird thing, and I don't know how this sounds, especially if there's, you know, men watching this, but she's so good at makeup that I almost looked female when I looked in the mirror, and I was impressed by how good her skills were. And I looked in the mirror and I had these doughy eyes. I mean, she had done a lot of work on my eyes, and I was like blown away. And I thought maybe this is how women feel when they see themselves in the mirror. There's this sudden change in beauty. All of a sudden features are enhanced. And it wasn't for me to get attention from other people, just to look at myself in the mirror and say, wow, that looks good. You know, and women, I'm sure, have the same thing, where they dress up to not just appeal to men, but to appeal to themselves. And some of that has to do with the culture that's pushed on them, that they have to look that way. But much of the time, it's just because they want to look pretty. And makeup does that. Men wear makeup. They won't tell you they do, but men wear makeup. And it's not to appeal to the women, it's just because they want to look different. I mean, why else would you do anything? Why, you know, I'm wearing this night shirt. But if I wanted to look good for this video, I'd put on a nice shirt, you know, have good lighting, make sure my face isn't all shiny and weird looking. But, you know, I didn't feel like doing it for right now. And I'm trying not to ramble in this. I'm just kind of throwing my ideas out there. But my opinion is that the whole Gamergate thing has gotten out of control. The feminism war on men has kind of gotten out of control because of a lot of misunderstanding. And it's not anybody's fault, really. The misunderstanding just comes from the lack of just knowledge, the lack of knowledge. A lot of gamers don't really talk about why they play games or what they find attractive in games. And Anita Sarkeesian seems to draw a lot of conclusions out of her own opinions, but it doesn't make it true. Though she has done a lot of good in creating an environment where women feel safe and they feel like someone is there to help them. And a lot of my friends have felt helped by her and felt the solidarity there that she's given them. So there are good and bad things to it, but I don't think she should really be involved directly with a video game because she's not a designer. She's not a developer of a video game. She's a spokesperson. She is leading a movement. So I don't know. I mean, my feelings on it are conflicted, and just in making this video, I kind of thought to myself that, hey, maybe it is a good thing. Like just now, I thought maybe it is a good thing if she's involved because she's an activist who's trying to change something. So they're giving her an opportunity to actually be involved in the development of game. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But I think that she shouldn't be trying to get this new control scheme for women. It makes it seem like women can't handle it, which sucks because women totally can handle it. I've gotten my ass kicked a number of times by women. So yeah, that's all I really had. Thanks for watching. I'm looking at the time indicator on here at 23 minutes so far. So, but thanks for watching this. And yeah, I hope I've put my ideas out there in a not boring way. But yeah, thank you for watching. And I'll be putting up more videos like this shortly. So thank you.